Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I want to remind you before I get going that if you join it's free, the ProCoin News Daily that features me. That's their daily newsletter. It's like crypto news, and then every once in a while I'm going to do a feature in there. They're going to be interviewing me in the next few days, and they're going to put, I think it's going to be a video interview. They're going to put that in the newsletter. You'll only be able to see it there. So if you want, you can go to the top of the description of this video and get the link, or you can go to the top of my Twitter feed. I've got it pinned there where you can join the newsletter. Now this is a good tweet right here. Digital Perspective says, agreed. I do believe that Ripple has run simulation data collection for a long time, and based on daily flows parallel to the traditional payment rails, Ripple and customers know exactly what the price of XRP needs to be to handle the volume for FIs and central banks. And here's the guy's tweet. Folks, now I'm seeing a lot of misunderstanding about public versus private ledgers. The CBDC ledger, which is private, is just a CBDC ledger. Well, last time I checked, the CBDCs are not yet completed globally, folks. This brings me to my next point. The CBDC ledger is what we in IT call a DevNet, the XRPL that we know and love as a mainnet. At some point, the private CBDC ledger will likely become a sidechain of sorts that interoperates directly with XRPL via what's called a federated sidechain. And yes, I'm posting a link directly from XRPL regarding this. We don't have derivatives to the tune of trillions a day running on the XRPL, trillions via CBPs and other utilities yet. And CBDCs aren't even completed, which means the DevNet environment is not facilitating trillions on the back of XRP, meaning it would not need a stable higher value than the mainnet environment. It's not necessary. I could see if derivatives, NFTs, CBPs, and smart contracts were flowing to the tune of multi-trillions a day on the back of XRP in a DevNet environment and the price was still 40 cents, that I guess that you'd be asking these questions. I'm just going to say this. This is one of the reasons why I don't do. Anyway, the point is, folks, what I get out of that is, look, when all this stuff goes live, it's game on. Hold on, I got to close my door. You got to understand, of course, the people at Ripple, of course, they're not going to talk about the significance of price and what they think it needs to be or will be, because that is something they're not allowed to talk about. Folks, use your heads. I mean, I've watched for years, and I've watched I've watched this entire crypto space, and 99.9% of the attention has been focused on all this Mickey Mouse stuff that's like a children's playground, Bitcoin and Ethereum and these NFTs that are being bought with these weirdo gas fees and all of this. None of it's ever made any sense to me. There's two things that have always made sense and still make sense and have always been transparent, at least Ripple and the XRP ledger. And then Stellar, XLM's always made sense to me. It's the two that actually work. But make no mistake, I don't beat around the bush as far as this goes. This is why I've been here for 4 years. The XRP price needs to be, it can't be cheap. I mean, David Schwartz said that. It needs to, and what's the kid's name? The smart developer kid. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name. But he said it better than anybody I've heard. He said the price is going to have to reflect not just the assets that are on the XRP ledger, but the liabilities too. It's got to be able to handle that. That's what we're talking about. Okay, moving along. U.S. Justice Department is calling for serious fraud allegations against, well, quit calling for it and go arrest the guy. Now, last night, first of all, here's some shots fired from Altcoin Daily. Landing in the Bahamas to finish what others couldn't, so they're taking a shot at BitBoy. Then here's BitBoy standing in front of the Tether vault inside of Deltec Bank. He said, "This is one of my top 3 favorite picks I've ever been in. there should have been 640 pallets worth of money in this vault to match their USDT supply. Okay, now he put out one of the I guess direct messages between him and Sam Bankman-Fried, because BitBoy, in my opinion, is rightfully angry that he didn't get the interview with Sam Bankman-Fried, because Sam Bankman-Fried went and did it with these guys. This Mario, I don't remember his last name. But anyway, the Mario guy who's been doing all the Twitter lives about Sam Bankman-Fried, I was listening last night when he did one at 5 o'clock, and it was just as unbelievable, if not more so, than the other things we've heard. I put a few of the clips out. In this one, he says he's going to check into whether or not FTX was creating false tokens, because he has no idea.
There weren't enough tokens. And I'm just trying to understand, like, do you think that it could be possible that maybe you guys created, call it fake synthetic tokens, fake tokens, that kind?
So I think you're probably talking about Alameda. They're not FTX, and I don't know the details of that. I'm sorry. I wasn't running Alameda, and but I can try and look into that.
Folks, this guy's a BS artist. When I was listening to all this stuff, he all he does, it's called double speak, and it's just a bunch of BS. He takes you in a big circle, tries to complicate the conversation with sophisticated talk about leverage and different things, and he tries to just walk in circles. It's by design, folks. I've known people like this in my life. I've seen this movie. This is all intentional. It's he thinks he's smarter than everybody. He thinks he can just walk you in a circle and then just put you to sleep. Janet Yellen is a professional at the same thing. Go watch her talk sometime. She'll talk for 3 minutes and she hasn't said anything. Gary Gensler does the same thing, by the way. It's like all these people are raised to do this. All right, now, then I thought Kim.com, I think he's one of the smartest guys on the internet, but I think that these guys should have just handed it over to him, because he was the only one that was going hard-nosed the way that I would go if I was in that thing. I was in the thing, but they're not going to put me up, because these guys have their own little crew.
I appreciate it. So Caroline Ellison, the former CEO of Alameda Research, says that you knew that FTX customer deposits were misused against your own terms of service. And then you've stated in several interviews, without much confidence, I may add, that you didn't know. And by saying that, you are basically throwing Caroline under the bus. Because if you didn't know, then she must be the culprit who is legally responsible for billions of missing. That's right. And it's not. Caroline had a romantic relationship. So my take from that is that you had power over her and that she did what you asked her to. So would anyone believe?
You're dropping out, Kim.
Yeah, why would anyone believe anything you say when you're throwing your own lover under the bus? And then I was told...
I'll let you, please, Kim, if you can get to the question so we can get through the line of questioning, if you don't mind, please.
Caroline is here and listening right now. So is there anything you would like to say to her?
I'm deeply... I mean, look, I fucked up big, but I'm pretty offended by some parts of that. Like, Caroline and I...
Now, as you listen to this, I want you to think about this for a second. All these people are on here because this guy has just lost billions of dollars of innocent people who were investors on his platform, and this is how arrogant this guy is. He's offended. He's offended that you would say something that would be offensive to him. Wow.
We've been together for a while. I don't control her. I never did. I think it's really fucked that you would say...
Well, I think it's really effed that you're even on this thing and not in handcuffs.
That I would, that's how things work. And, putting that aside for a second, like, I wasn't super involved in Alameda. I was not involved at all in the trading. I hadn't been for years. I was intentionally not getting involved in it because I was concerned about a conflict for interest. But as to I guess I'm not entirely sure what the question was. There's
just circular BS. Confusion's the game. Here's some more confusion.
And then
No, keep in mind, this Rand Nooner, who's a clown too, but anyway, he's asking a real basic question. I put money on the FTX platform. I want to buy 20. I'm not one of these guys shorting things or doing anything on leverage. I'm just putting 20,000 on the platform to buy Bitcoin. I buy Bitcoin. Where's my what happened to it?
I want to buy a Bitcoin let's say I put $20,000 in and I want to buy a full Bitcoin. The money is, tell me where the money is sitting now though, because this is the part that I'm confused about.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you're confused because it's confusing. And
no, it's real straightforward.
And, there were a lot of poor decisions made there on our part.
Okay, I can't listen to that anymore. I do want to play you this other clip. Now, BitBoy keeps on saying that this guy, Dan Friedberg, is the architect of this whole thing, and he wouldn't say what his involvement was.
What about Dan Friedberg?
I don't want to, I think, go into where specific employees' heads were at, just because I think that's for them to talk about it if they want to.
But was he one of the top 5, or was he one of the top 5 people that you would? I mean, he was a big advisor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a big employee of the company, a big part of our legal team. I think that everyone sort of in those positions were people I was trying to consult with.
Yeah.
And
another nothing answer. Now, I don't know where Wheezy got this, but you know what this is? That's Dan Friedberg. You remember when BitBoy interviewed the guy from New Genesis, and he's the one that said that they recorded everything and they had everything in evidence? Well, I don't know where Wheezy got this, but I think this is one of their recordings of the evidence that they have. Check this out.
Right.
Yeah.
Somehow the Liquid, I don't know Liquid. They may have counterfeited the coin.
Every centralized exchange creates a synthetic, okay? For the purposes
of all we did is just push a button through an exchange, we didn't intend to do that, certainly. We just, we had the new coin in our exchange account. We sent it to you using the exchange account.
Yeah.
And it's possible, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
It's because that's not on the blockchain.
Fair enough. But one thing we do agree, if we're right, we're going to make world history, aren't we? And this is going to get a lot of public attention, as you now put it on the table. Let's get some public attention on this. And you explain where the fuck our coins are.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. But guess what? You're quite correct, Dan. The whole world's going to be looking at it. It'll get a lot of media attention.
I think that's just
yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just wait then.
But hopefully, who knows? Maybe they'll come back. Maybe the coin that they send is okay. I hope. I mean, you'll be able to, the coin that goes to the blockchain.
Dan, we don't make the accusation unknowingly. I told you it's incontrovertible. It's incontrovertible. There's no ifs. There's no buts. Okay? And what you've just done is try to insult us. And what do you think that's going to achieve when you're wrong? When it's incontrovertible that you guys are wrong, and you're going to add insult. Well, what did you think? No, but what did you think's going to happen? What did you?
It wouldn't be me up there. I wouldn't know.
No, but what did you think?
I'm in no position, just to comment.
Okay. Well, how about this? How about you'd work it out before you started insulting? What did you think was going to happen if you started insulting?
No, I'm just saying, you guys should have accepted the offer.
Okay, by you insulting...
Do you remember in BitBoy when the guy said that, yeah, they offered us money, like basically hush money, and he goes, we acted like we were going to enter negotiations with them just to string them along so we could record all the evidence.
No. By you insulting me and us right now, what did you think? What did you think you were going to achieve?
I was hoping that possibly to save Hussein from prison.
He's home for imprisonment because you counterfeited coin.
No, because I'm a kind man, Hussein. Okay? And I'm just saying that...
Dan, listen, let's just end this here. You're obviously, I've got no idea what to say in terms of words. You're obviously wasting our time. Let's just finish this here.
Is that Hussein?
That's Hussein. That's Hussein. I've got no doubt. Yeah, let's just not waste each other's time. You obviously just want to hear waste our time. I think let's just end this conversation where we left it.
Okay, so where do we leave it?
Well, let me...
Okay, when we're right, what are you going to do? In 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, 12 hours?
Wow. And that thing looks like it lasted a while. So we're going to see more of that. But it's very obvious that the guy he made a comment leading me to believe that they offered these guys money to be quiet. It's basically, now, look at this. This is, now we've got people who are body language experts that are looking at Sam Bankman-Fried.
Where's your money coming from? And in the most extreme thing of layman. And it has made Levine kind of nervous to ask this question. And I say that because his hands are holding each other in his lap. He's tight to himself. He's not looking at Fried Bankman. He is like, I don't really want to ask this. Like, how in the world do you have this money? Where is this money coming from? And Fried Bankman over here, he starts to get very nervous.
They're at least...
Because now we're petting ourselves.
Decently secured, often they're over-secured.
And he's playing. You see the hands move kind of like this, like it's playing. He's either playing with the thought in his brain, playing with the subject, or playing.
That's interesting to watch that stuff. This is interesting too. Stefan Huber had said, hey, I've made peace with Jake Chervinsky. I think he's a good fellow, but I just can't understand how what I can't understand is how he manages to continue to completely ignore the demonstrably criminal behavior of Bill Hinman. And Jake Chervinsky answered, he says, I'm not trying to ignore this. I just don't see a path of meaningful action. But the interesting line is this last one. He says, he says, doesn't Ripple have this covered? Almost like what I think he's really saying is, doesn't Ripple already have all the evidence of this? I don't need to do anything. Well, they do. We know that. Okay. Rosalind Layton, who's one of the heroes of this whole ETHgate saga, she did a Forbes article today, yesterday, FTX fallout exposes risky rigmarole of registration. And I took out my favorite clip here and I said, Congress, when are you going to haul Gary Gensler in and get him to explain himself to you? Why does Gary's failure keep getting rewarded with government positions? He presided over MF Global at the CFTC, now FTX at the SEC. Outside of government fantasy land, this guy is thrown out on his butt long ago. And here's the clip from her article. Meanwhile, Bankman-Fried was reportedly raiding customer deposits from the FTX exchange to prop up his Ponzi hedge fund, while advancing federal legislation to the benefit of his company thanks to tens of millions of dollars in political donations. Why again is the SEC waging a costly war against Ripple while all that was happening right under its nose? One company went over and above what is rationally perceived as its legal duty, while the other was the model of what must never be done. And that's the one that Gary Gensler was meeting with. Let's not forget that the SEC before him was meeting with Joseph Lubin. So what's the pattern here? All of the guys who seem to be doing shady stuff, if not illegal, are the ones that the SEC are buddies with. What does that pattern start to tell you, folks? What does it start to tell you? Now, check this out. Remember when Maxine Waters, now remember, this is the woman that runs the Finance Committee of the Congress of the United States. Okay? She's the one that was blowing Sam Bankman-Fried a kiss when he was leaving Congress. Well, there are no coincidences, as we've said. Former U.S. Ambassador to the Bahamas, Sidney Williams, and wife, Maxine Waters, Lady Sharon Wilson, President of the Bahamian Senate, Sir Franklin, and Congressman Al Green. Maxine Waters and husband Sid developed a very close relationship with Lady Sharon when Sidney was ambassador, below is Maxine Waters and current Bahamian Prime Minister Philip Davis. Are things starting to add up yet, folks? And it looks like Gary Gensler's July calendar is out, And guess who he was meeting with? The IEX guys. These are the same guys that he was meeting with FTX, okay? And he's meeting with Kristen Gillibrand, who was one of FTX's, FTX donated to her, and Senator Loomis, who, remember, Multicoin Capital, I think, is her biggest donor. Boy, oh boy, does all this smell bad. Now, we've been watching this Ripple lawsuit all this time. We've been seeing all this, and this clip from Brian Brooks will make it all make sense, folks. Why did they come after Ripple?
Why is crypto so controversial? Why do so many people hate?
Why have everybody with all guns blazing, from the regulators to the crypto talking heads to you name it, bragging about shorting XRP? Why have they all come for Ripple and XRP more than anything?
Why does, Senator Warren give talks about the shadowy super coders who are fleecing Americans and this and that? It's because money has always been controversial. And what we're doing here is we're creating a new system of money, and that is always going to be culturally controversial. You have to have the courage of what you're building here. Money is the foundation on which we all generate wealth.
It doesn't matter what it is you do in life. If you're the top dog, you're literally going to be shot at and fired at and swipes taken at you over and over. If XRP wasn't a threat, they wouldn't even be talking about it. There's a specific reason that it has been attacked more than anything in crypto, XRP, because it's the one, and they all freaking know it. And that's the reason that we're the adults in the room, and we've not been able to quit talking about this one company and this one digital asset for all these years, because we're not stupid. We're not being distracted by cartoon monkeys and bullcrap. We have been focused on what the adults in the room would be focused on, and that is the thing that's going to change the whole freaking world. All the money. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family. We're not talking about some of the money. We're talking about